and welcome again to the lecture series, The Ascended Masters Answer the Fundamental Questions of Life. This lesson is entitled Lesson 9, Part 2. Atlantean Age Civilizations. The Atlantean culture reached one of its heights about 500,000 years ago. The people of that age had achieved great illumination, understanding, and oneness with the God presence. They knew the power of radiation and the importance of vibratory action that passed through the bodies of individuals. At that time, Long Island, an island New York City, was considered holy ground, and it was entirely dedicated to the priesthood. No one except the priesthood was allowed on the island. Through the purity and constructive activity of the priests, Long Island became the most highly magnetized center of spiritual currents on the Earth's surface at that time. It was not advisable for anyone to step on the island, for it was just like touching a high-tension wire. In several respects, the technology of the various Atlantean civilizations was superior to that of today. Unlimited energy necessary for lighting, heating, propulsion of boats, transportation and airships was drawn forth from the atmosphere and received and transmitted through power boxes measuring 2 feet by 2 feet by 3 feet. By means of its airships, Atlantis stayed in touch with all parts of the globe. The Atomics Accelerator, a device accelerating the vibratory action of the 4 lower bodies, was used as a healing, purifying agent. The superior technology, coupled with a good understanding of cosmic law, enabled the Atlantean civilization to maintain a position of leadership which endured for thousands of years up to the very time of the sinking of its last remnant, the island of Poseidonis. During its heights, Atlantis was considered a worldwide empire. The masters cited the Sahara, Gobi, and Texas civilizations as superior civilizations. Those reached their peak about 70,000 years ago. About 28,000 years ago, some civilizations must have reached high points, because the master stated that at that time there were groups of beings whose natural radiance illuminated everything, wherever they went. They also stated that this accomplishment is possible for the students today. The Master spoke of 12 temples which existed at that time and which were located on the territory of today's United States. The Atlantean temples were a focal point for pilgrims coming from all parts of the globe, including those from different continents. Some of the priests had achieved the ability to levitate. Thus, they were able to attend the conventions at certain main temples by levitating back and forth from their homes. Last in our chronology of the Atlantean age, the civilizations of Meru and Poseidonis need to be mentioned. These civilizations reached high points in the time period of 12,000 BC to 10,000 BC. Now here's a brief report on the Atlantean wars and cataclysms. During the Atlantean age, civilizations reached great heights, but there were many low points as well. Numerous wars took place on both sides of North America, namely on Lemuria and Atlantis. In Europe, which at that time was part of Atlantis, mankind was determined to destroy one another. Saint Germain stated that the human ungoverned is more vicious than the jungle. 3 times a most poisonous, destructive gas substance was used. It wiped out entire population of cities, leaving only the buildings intact. The physical bodies of the people were destroyed in a few minutes. The Ascended Masters provided us with a description of only one war, namely the war near today's Cuba. Descriptions of wars tend to focus our attention upon destructive etheric records. Energy follows thought, and the imperfect use of energy does not help our freedom. The Masters gave us a detailed description of the war near Cuba because it illustrates the ever-ongoing battle between the forces of good and evil, white and black magic. In addition, the details explain the cause of the future sinking of a portion of the Atlantean continent. The breakup of the Atlantean continent. Unfortunately, the forces of darkness gradually influenced the consciousness of a majority of the people on Atlantis in disobeying God. Most of the priesthood did not sufficiently react to counter that effort to sway the minds of the people. The population became ungrateful for the blessings nature pours out and for life itself. God, the giver of all life energy, expects right use of that energy so it may bless the rest of His creation with harmonious activity. Without such right use of energy, a civilization can no longer be sustained under the divine plan, and so it collapses. There was misuse of energy, and the inhabitants became selfish and arrogant. These attitudes created destructive conditions. Therefore, the beings administrating cosmic law, as it pertains to the earth, decreed that Atlantis no longer justified its right to exist. The first cataclysm during the time period under consideration, which is 500,000 BC to 10,000 BC, occurred 200,000 years ago and has already been reported under the section The Lemurian Age. Since this cataclysm tore apart a large portion of the Earth's surface, it's possible that portions of Atlantis sank also at that time. The second major cataclysm of the time took place 80,000 years ago. During that cataclysm, the waterway known as Golden Gate came into existence. The waterway is now bridged by the Golden Gate Bridge. The 7 hills of San Francisco have existed for over 80,000 years. At that time, the city was known as the City of the 7 Hills. The area, now known as the state of Texas, was raised during this cataclysm. It was below the surface of water prior to this event. During several cataclysms, the tearing apart of the Earth's surface was re-experienced, and piece by piece, various portions of the giant continent of Atlantis submerged beneath the ocean. This process took place over a time period of thousands of years. Finally, only the island of Poseidonis, a central and small remnant of the original continent, remained. As part of the cataclysm, lands west and east of Poseidonis had sunk beneath the ocean. The lands submerged included portions located in the vicinity of today's Cuba. Poseidonis, when still part of the larger continent, had been the heart center of the then known civilized world. The Master protected this part of Atlantis in order to continue important activities on Poseidonis and to use it as a central focus in completing certain unfinished work. The final Atlantean cataclysm took place about 10,000 BC. At that time, Poseidonus, the last remaining fragment of Atlantis, was submerged. Thousands of years ago, there existed a civilization that extended from the present westerly boundary of the Sahara Desert across the entire width of Africa, continuing east across Asia, all the way to the Himalayan mountains. This civilization was called the Sahara Empire, and it reached such high level of attainment that the term Golden Age has been attributed to this time period. The Sahara Desert was fertile land at that time. There were many streams of water, and the entire area enjoyed abundant moisture and a semi-tropical climate. The Nile, as it is today, resembles the streams of that period. The following description of the civilization and prevailing conditions pertain to the year 68,000 BC, when the Sahara Kingdom reached its height of accomplishment. This concludes Lesson 9, Part 2. I sincerely hope you enjoyed it, and I hope we will meet soon again for Part 3 of the lesson. God bless you.